McMahon and I'm cookery editor of Woman's Weekly magazine, and I'm going to show you how to decorate the blossom wedding cake which has appeared in Woman's Weekly magazine. I've got the cake that I've stacked. This is only 2 tiers, but you can put a 3rd tier on top. And the first thing I need to do is to mark the sides of it. So I've made a template from a narrow strip of baking parchment, and I've marked a grid on it at 2 centimetre squares. So I'm going to wrap this around the cake, and to hold it in place, I'm going to use a pin. And I'm going to press it just into the icing and the marzipan. So once the template is around the cake, I'm then going to use a scribing tool, or you can use a pin, to mark holes at each of the points where the lines cross. So I do this all the way around the cake. So when you've gone all the way around the cake, you can take the template off and then use the same template to do the next tier. So now I've marked the sides of the cake, I'm going to pipe a snail's trail along the bottom of each cake, which will help disguise the join, and it also helps to seal the cakes together. So I filled the piping bag with some royal icing, and it's got a number 2 piping tube, which is a writing piping tube. And if I show you on the table before I do it on the cake, it might be easier to see. So you pipe a bead, stop pressing the icing and pull the piping bag away. And it doesn't matter too much how big or how small you do these. The important thing is that you get the beads all the same size. So that's the effect that we're trying to get. So now on the cake, I do it right at the join. So I start with a bead and then take the piping bag to the side. So I do this snail's trail design around the bottom of all of the tiers. So once you've piped the snail's trail around the bottom of each of the cakes, you need to pipe the dots on the side. So using the holes as a guide, you need to pipe a dot over alternate holes. So if you squeeze the icing and stop squeezing it and then pull the piping bag away, you shouldn't have too much of a point on the dots. But if you do have a point on any of them, if you take a paintbrush and have it just very slightly damp, you can press any points down. And you then need to do this going all around the cake. So once you've piped the dots all around the cake, you need to let the icing dry. And then the next stage is to paint it with some metallic or pearl colour. So I'm using metallic snowflake powder, and I'm going to tip some of this onto a plate. And then what I use for mixing it with is rose water. And this is alcohol-based rose water rather than water-based, because it evaporates more quickly than painting with water or with anything that is water-based. So I mix some of the rose water with the powder so that it makes a paste, and then paint over the white icing. I'm going to paint all of the dots, and then I'm also going to paint over the snail's trail as well. So the next stage is to stick the flowers into place. So I pipe some royal icing onto the back of a flower, and then these get positioned on the dots, the holes that aren't covered with the piping. So you put the flowers all around all the tiers of the cakes. So I've pressed the posy pick into the centre of the cake, and now my top decoration, I'm going to press into the posy pick so the wires are contained in the posy pick, and press it down. Then if you need to, you can pull the wires to make sure that all the flowers are even. And I think it's nice to display it on a cake stand. I'm using a china pedestal, Make sure that if you do this you have a really firm pedestal that is nice and solid, because the cake is quite heavy. So I'm going to lift it up, and that's all ready to display now on the wedding table.